Hi everyone, it's me, 𝑻𝒉𝒆. Today is Sunday, October 13th, 2024. This video is dedicated to my beloved, and the topic of this video is going to be about the nature of power. And I wanted to use this video to distinguish between two ideas of power that we have, namely political power and spiritual power. And in order to elucidate that concept, I wanted to share another passage from this book, The Road Less Traveled, A New Psychology of Love, Traditional Values, and Spiritual Growth by the psychiatrist 𝑚. Peck, MD. And I'm almost done reading this book, but there are still a lot of things from this book that I would like to share in my videos, so I'll still be making a few more videos related to this book. But the passage that I wanted to share today is from the section titled The Nature of Power. And I'll show you the beginning of that section. There it is. And I'll read the first few paragraphs of this section aloud to you now. Here it goes. The nature of power. We have now come to the point where we can understand the nature of power. It is a much misunderstood subject. One reason for the misunderstanding is that there are two kinds of power, political and spiritual. Religious mythology takes pains to draw the distinction between the two. Prior to the birth of Buddha, for instance, the soothsayers informed his father that Buddha would grow up to become the most powerful king in the land, or else a poor man who would be the greatest spiritual leader the world had ever known. Either or, but not both. And Christ was offered by Satan all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. But he rejected this alternative in favor of dying, seemingly impotent, upon the cross. Political power is the capacity to coerce others, overtly or covertly, to do one's will. This capacity resides in a position, such as a kingship or presidency, or else in money. It does not reside in the person who occupies the position or possesses the money. Consequently, political power is unrelated to goodness or wisdom. Very stupid and very evil people have walked as kings upon the earth. Spiritual power, however, resides entirely within the individual and has nothing to do with the capacity to coerce others. People of great spiritual power may be wealthy and may, upon occasion, occupy political positions of leadership, but they are as likely to be poor and lacking in political authority. Then, what is the capacity of spiritual power, if not the capacity to coerce? It is the capacity to make decisions with maximum awareness. It is consciousness. Most people, most of the time, make decisions with little awareness of what they are doing. They take action with little understanding of their own motives and without beginning to know the ramifications of their choices. Do we really know what we are doing when we accept or reject a potential client? When we hit a child, promote a subordinate, flirt with an acquaintance? Anyone who has worked for long in the political arena knows that actions taken with the best intentions will often backfire and prove harmful in the end, or that people with scurrilous motives may promote a seemingly wicked cause that ultimately turns out to be constructive. So also in the area of child raising. Is it any better to do the right thing for the wrong reasons than to do the wrong thing for the right reasons? We are often most in the dark when we are the most certain, and the most enlightened when we are the most confused. What are we to do, adrift in a sea of ignorance? Some are nihilistic and say nothing. They propose only that we should continue to drift, as if no course could possibly be charted in such a vast sea which would bring us to any true clarity or meaningful destination. But others, sufficiently aware to know that they are lost, dare to hope that they can work themselves out of ignorance through developing even greater awareness. They are correct. It is possible. But such greater awareness does not come to them in a single blinding flash of enlightenment. It comes slowly, piece by piece, and each piece must be worked for by the patient effort of study and observation of everything, including themselves. They are humble students. The path of spiritual growth is a path of lifelong learning. So that is all I'm going to read from this section. It continues to go on for a few more pages, but I think you get the idea from what I've shared in those few paragraphs. So basically, in those paragraphs, Dr. Peck is distinguishing between political power and spiritual power. Political power, as he defines in that section, is power that a person has based on his or her position, whether that relates to a position at work or a position within the family, like being a parent, or a position in any other form of relationship. It could also mean a position like being the president of the United States or being the president or leader of a specific company. When our power lies in our position and we let all of our power reside in that position, in that title, then our power is going to be unstable, and it's always going to depend on the opinion of other people or the support that we get from the other people. Like, in order to be the president of the United States, your power depends upon other people agreeing to give you that power. But then he says that spiritual power resides within the person, and that has to do with the power that you have over your own self, and the self-control that you have, the awareness that you have, and the ability that you have to control your own actions and your own thoughts. And that power, unlike political power, is much more stable, and it's going to be under your control for your entire life. It's up to you to determine how you're going to react to any given situation, and how you're going to think, and how you're going to grow, and how aware you will be of everything going on around you. And this power is, again, not something that is dependent on other people or your situations or circumstances. This power resides entirely within you, and therefore it's completely under your control. And I wanted to relate what I just read to you from this book to this other book that I read earlier this year, back in August, Power versus Force, The Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior, by the psychiatrist and spiritual teacher David Hawkins. And you see in the title of this book, Power versus Force. And within this book, Dr. Hawkins distinguishes between power and force. And force is equivalent to this idea of political power, meaning the power that one gets from his or her position, and the power that one feels from being able to coerce other people to do what he or she wants them to do. Whereas power is something that resides within, in the ideas that one has, in the thoughts that one forms, and in the actions that one performs out of one's own volition. And power is not something that involves acting on other people or forcing other people to do one's will. So similarly, this power is equal to spiritual power, and force is equal to political power. But in our lives, let's apply what I just shared with you into our own personal lives. In order to be successful and to live a meaningful life, we have to cultivate spiritual power. And we can't rely on political power or the power that we get from having a certain position or title to add meaning to our lives. If you really talk to a lot of people who have this external power that comes from their positions or their titles, you might learn that a lot of them might feel empty on the inside, and they might feel unfulfilled because they haven't developed themselves internally or spiritually. But if somebody has spiritual power, no matter whether or not they have the titles or the labels or any positions of external power, they will be fulfilled, and at the end of their life they will be able to say that they lived a meaningful and productive life internally. So by sharing all of this, I wanted to make it clear to you that spiritual power is better and it's more powerful than political power. It is much more worthwhile to pursue spiritual power than it is to pursue political power. And the latter will not improve your inner self. It won't improve your consciousness and awareness of life. It won't give you a meaningful life, whereas the former, meaning spiritual power, will make every moment of your life worthwhile, and at the end of your life you'll be able to say that you lived a worthwhile existence. So I hope that you learned something very valuable from my video today about the nature of power and the distinction between the two types of power, political power and spiritual power. And I hope that you choose the right type of power to exhibit in your own life. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video today. And with that, I'd like to wish you a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or whatever it is, wherever you are in the world.